Now while we're waiting for our flag to dry, we can go ahead and put our little daisies in down here. Get a detail brush or a flat brush. I've still got this black and green right here. I am going to want to water it down a little bit though, because when you're working with thin lines like we're going to be, because we're going to have our little stems coming up for our daisies, I just put a little bit of water, a little bit of my rinse water on my plate. Quite a lot of it too, because we want it nice and runny. Not so runny that when you go to put it on the canvas it starts running down the canvas, but runny enough that it goes on nice and smooth. And all we're going to do is just bring some stalks up. The more watered down this is, the more effortlessly these stems will go in. They don't have to be perfect because we're going to have a little bunch of flowers in here, so it's all right if they're not all exactly perfect. So we're going to go ahead and let those dry because we don't want to start putting our daisies in yet, because if we do that we're going to end up with green daisies. So we'll let that dry. And our flag's a little bit drier now. Okay, so we're going to put our little bluebirds in now. They don't need to be real big. You know, bluebirds aren't real big. So we'll just put a little one over here. This will be maybe the female. Give it a little fatter little belly. Okay, so we've got little birdie sketched in there. Then we'll have our male bluebird perched right on that flag right there. We're going to start with just the blue color. And now the male and female bluebirds are a little bit different colored. The female's a little bit more gray than the male is. So we'll do the male first, the blue on the male first. And for that you can go straight blue, or I'm going to add just a touch of brown to it. Just a touch, not much. I'm rhyming. I'm going to get a detail brush and I'm just going to mix together the blue and the brown. And now the bluebird, his top half is blue, and then he's got a white belly and then kind of a rust colored chest. So we'll start with his head. That's all blue. Now if you're putting that on there and you think, man, that's just too dark, you can go ahead and go into some straight blue. We're just going to go all the way from his head to his tail with the blue. Just filling in. Comes right, his wings are blue too, so anywhere We're going to fill in the area where his wings are going to be. Okay, now for the female, we're going to add a little bit of white to this. Just going to put some white over here. And maybe a touch more of the brown just to gray it a little bit. I'm just going to put that over there. And we'll mix all of this together. This makes kind of a grayer color. We're going to do the same pattern on her. She's just a slightly lighter color. Now remember, you don't have to go all the way out to the edges of the charcoal that you've put there. You can always go back and wipe that off when you're done, when everything's all dried. All right, if you want to add a little bit of highlight to your birds before this is all dried, you can go through and dip into some white while this paint's still wet. Just pop a little bit of highlight right on the outside where the light's coming in. And just kind of blend it down. And for her, just be on her face, top of her head a bit. You could do the front of her wing maybe, and this side of her tail. Doesn't have to be dramatic. Be a little splash of white in here just to help add a little bit of dimension to it. And again, if you get a little carried away with the white, you can always go back into that base color and just paint over it. All right. Now I'm going to rinse my brush off. And I'm going to go into straight white for the belly. And I'm going to leave the rust orange color for last. I'm just going to put this white right underneath here. And it's okay if it mixes with the charcoal a little bit. I'm not too worried about that. If it mixes with the charcoal, it actually kind of gives a nice little shaded shadow effect. So sometimes I purposely try to make it mix with the charcoal just so I can get that effect. So there, got our little white belly. Same for him. I think I just dropped white paint on the floor. Whoops. There, got our white belly. Now while we've got this white out, I'm going to get a fine detail brush. If you're comfortable with using the one you have been using, go ahead. And I'm going to go into this white And I'm just going to add some details to the wings and around where the eyes are going to be. So I know I want an eye right in here. So I'm just going to outline where the eye is going to be. Okay, and then I'm going to put in just some little feathers. They're just little swooshes. Like a certain sports brand we all know. And then for the tail, you can just put some little lines for the tail. Now we'll do the same thing for the male bluebird. Is that I'm at a weird angle to try to paint this. Normally when I'm painting just at home for fun, normally sitting down. I notice when I'm standing, I don't paint the same way. But it's just easier when I'm instructing to be standing so that I can step back and get out of your way. All right, so we've got their little wings in. Now we're going to make that orange for their chest. And all we need for that is red, yellow, and brown. And this is kind of a trial and error color mixing. There's no exact measurements or anything. Just putting some colors on the plate and we'll mix until we get the color we want. And I need a detail brush. Go. So we're looking for a rusty orange color. So I'm going to mix up orange first. Nice. I'm mixing up a color that's exactly like the color behind it. All right. A little red, little yellow, touch of brown. And then I mix it off to the side to see what I've got. It's actually pretty close. And you got to keep in mind it'll dry a little bit darker, so yeah, I think that'll work. I may have picked a detail brush that's a little bit bigger than what I'm comfortable with. Yep, I did. All right, get a smaller one. There we go. And now for the male and female, it's going to be the same color. That does not change. Not for our painting anyway. You want to bring it up just a little bit more under his chin like that, you can. Okay. I'm going to the same for her. I'm just going to bring it up just a little bit. And I know they look really odd without bills yet, little beaks. So let's put those in. Put their little feet in. Make them look like birds instead of little aliens. All right, detail brush. Just straight black. And now they don't have very big beaks. They've just got little tiny beaks. A little beak and a little black for the eye. And black for the eye. Little beak. Okay. And then little feet. They need some little feet to perch with. So you can just bring some little feet down. And then we'll add, got some white somewhere? I do. A little touch of white to the eye. Oop. Oh shoot. And if you do that, just go back into the black and cover that up. If you want to add a little highlight to the top of the beak, just to make it stand out a little bit, you can do that. All right, my little birdies are done. All right, all we've got left now is finish up our little daisies down here. Now, daisies are pretty simple. All you need is white. Well, we'll start first with white and black. Not a lot of black. You only need a touch of it, just a little touch of it. And you may need to wash out your detail brush like I do. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to dip into the white paint and then just the side of your brush into a touch of black. And then I'm going to just make the petals of my daisy. All that black does is adds a little bit of shadow, and it helps to separate the petals of the flower. It's not an exact science. Well, what we're doing, it's not. We're just looking for a little bit of dimension here. That's all we're looking for. You don't want too much black because then you end up with gray daisies. We don't want gray daisies. And if you're a stickler for making sure that you've got the exact right number of petals, that's fine, but I'm not so much. So I'm just putting in whatever I like. I'm not too worried about it. I'm just looking for Just looking for the nice little effect of flowers. They aren't the focal point of the painting, so I'm really not too worried about them. I just want them there for a little added. I'm going to want to make sure that we have a center for them. So I'm going to rinse my brush out and dry it. I still got the color from the birds in here. I'm just going to take a little bit of that yellow and a tiny bit of that red. Oops, that was more of the red than I wanted. Was hiding under there. Okay. I'm just making a slightly oranged yellow, but it's still basically yellow. And then I'm just going to tap into the center of the daisies. In that pretty yellow center. All right, now if you want to customize this painting, like personalize it for a gift for someone, like a wedding present or something, or if you want to customize and personalize it for yourself, you could put your last name on the side of the mailbox, but I think we'll call that a finished painting. If you want to sign your name in the bottom corner, I think we'll call that good. I hope you enjoyed painting along with me today. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my new classes.